And first up on our agenda, we are going to be opening a public hearing concerning the application of the Bolton Exchange Incorporated at 544 Wattaquatic Hill Road for a transfer of their pouring license for all alcoholic beverages. So is there a motion to open the hearing?
So moved.
Second,
Okay, roll call. Kate,
yes.
Stan.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm a yes as well. Okay, so the hearing is officially opened, and I believe we have a couple folks here from the applicant to just tee this up again.
Good morning, Attorney Cheryl Gould, originally from Clinton, and I'm representing the applicant, Charles, but we call him Charlie Minkle, who's here with me today.
How's it going? Good to see
Good,
you
how are
again.
you?
Doing
Yeah.
well.
Well, so Attorney Gould, just remind everybody again what the posture is of things tonight. I know we saw you recently, but you're looking for approval of the transfer of the license.
That's correct. We filed all of the necessary paperwork with the help of your admin, Jen, and we have published in the newspaper and sent back the affidavit of notice of publication that the newspaper prepared. We also gave mail notice to all of the abutters in interest. We are advised by the ABCC that mail notice to abutters is not necessary on a transfer of license because it's the same location and no interior renovations are proposed. But we did give notice as a courtesy, and I hope that I see that there may be some here that would like to ask Charlie some questions. We also presented that we don't have any plans for interior renovations of any major import. The only thing would be to replace the current sushi bar with table seating because we're not going to do the Japanese sushi bar. And probably to spruce up the place and give it a little facelift, floors and paint and maybe some lighting, just things that would enhance the attractiveness.
Got it. But just to sort of level set for people that are in attendance, as I understand it, the sole purpose of the public hearing tonight is to hear your request for the transfer of the pouring license. Right?
That is correct. And
Okay.
and the only thing we would talk about changing hopefully would be some hours of operation. Not excessively, but reasonable for a restaurant that's in full swing. Charlie has a background. Charlie comes from Chelmsford originally. He's just recently bought a home in Bolton and he's relocated his young family there. Charlie and his wife will be the co-owners of the business that will operate the liquor license. He will be mostly hands-on management on a day-to-day basis and many of the evening hours, most of the evening hours. The restaurant he owned in Chelmsford was a brick house pizza and Italian American fare. I think that's the concept he's going to bring to the Bolton area.
Okay, great. First, I'd like to see whether the other members of the select board have questions or comments.
I don't have any. I'm fine with it.
Just you had mentioned a change in hours. What are you looking for?
Well,
When you-
right now they're closed on Mondays, and we would look to be open all 7 days. I think their liquor license actually goes till either midnight, 11:30 or midnight or 12:30. I know their hours weren't that, but on their liquor license it was. So we certainly wouldn't be open, that late.
You wanted to talk about Sundays and brunches as well.
Yeah, we possibly, we're looking at being open at the location that we had. We did probably too much. We did breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and we're open, later on. And I've been in the area now since October last year, and just noticed, breakfast wise, I think we'd probably try and open up for breakfast as well on the weekends. So I'd look to expand those hours a little bit more on the Saturday, Sunday for having some breakfast there as well.
Okay, so I have a question. This may be for our town administrator or Jenny. So in the application document that we have, the transaction is listed as a transfer of license, but I'm not seeing a check mark next to change of hours at this point. So is a change of hours being requested right now, or is it just the license transfer?
We would like to add change of hour request to that. We didn't fill in anything about hours because we wanted to discuss with the board your pleasure and then fill in those hours before it goes off to the ABCC.
I see. Okay, so then what would be helpful for me if you could just lay out verbally, since I just don't have it at my fingertips. Like, what's the current status quo in terms of days of the week and time of day? And then what is the requested change?
Can I just interrupt?
Yeah.
Is a change of hours something that the select board has the authority to make, or would that go to the planning board? Because this is in the residential zone, this restaurant, is it not? This is the first I'm hearing about the request for the change to hours, so I'm
restaurant-
thinking aloud right now. I'm thinking on my feet. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't want the select board to make a
Yeah.
decision in something that, in an area that maybe isn't
Yeah, we need,
appropriate.
yeah,
Well, in regards to the liquor license, there is a checkbox in the fourth line of checkboxes of change of hours. So, and there's only one form here that we're looking at. Actually, let me look at this a little bit more.
so
My understanding was that we are the local licensing authority, the select board, and that we have the right to set limitations with regard to hours.
For serving alcohol. Yeah, in this context, because this is the hearing just for liquor for the ABCC, where you're looking at the transfer of license. You can set your own parameters for your hours for serving liquor. This is just with regards to this, the alcohol. I'm not privy to the planning board rules with regards to operating hours in residential districts, so.
And I would just add to that the current license has hours listed on it.
sorry, could you say that again? Because you were a little off mic.
I'm sorry. I believe the current license lists hours of operation. So this board had set it for the prior one.
Okay, so what I don't have, I don't think anybody has in front of them, is not just hours of operation, but hours that you currently are serving alcohol versus the request of when you would like to be able to serve alcohol. I just don't, I don't have in front of me what the before and after would be, and I think we really ought to have that.
If I may ask your indulgence for 1 minute, the current liquor license issued to Bolton Baba LLC says the hours during which alcoholic beverages may be sold are weekdays and Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. and Sunday, 12 noon to 11:30 p.m. And I believe the only request is to Sunday 11 instead of 12.
If possible.
This, if possible, to start Sunday an hour earlier, partly because there's a function area in that restaurant, and I do believe that there will be an interest in happy occasions such as weddings or showers or even sad occasions like funerals, where starting at 11 might make sense.
Sorry, Miss Gould, you're gonna have to stay close to the mic because you're sort of when
I'm
you get,
sorry.
yeah, exactly. You just have to stay close to the mic.
I'm sorry, I can just envision that Sunday showers, weddings, engagement parties, and perhaps even funeral solidarity might want to start at 11 on Sunday. I think that's the only change requested right now.
Okay. Another question that I had, because this came up with another applicant recently, is are all your servers going to be tip certified? Is that a requirement?
Yeah. That'll be a requirement. That is a requirement with the
Okay.
ABCC, but yes, they will be.
Mhm. Cool.
Okay. So I guess I would like to open it up to any questions or comments from the public if there are any. And I would remind folks the best way to get our attention is to raise your hand on Zoom. Or go off camera and raise your hand and I'll try to see if I can spot you. Jenny, I'm not seeing anybody. Let me know if you see anyone. No, I'm not seeing anyone.
I see no
Oh,
hands.
oh, Marie,
You
sorry.
can fill, yes, I just had one question for the applicant, and looking at the description of the premises, it had mentioned that all alcohol would be served on the main floor of the restaurant, the lounge and the function room. Would that not include the deck, the exterior deck?
That would include the deck.
So it'd be the main floor of the restaurant, the lounge, the function room, and the deck.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I make another point? I'm just poking around the ABCC website right now. And it appears that a change of hours is an amendment in itself. And that was not the amendment that was requested. So if there are actually two amendments being made, that would be a multiple amendment application. And that's what would have been noticed in the paper. That's not the hearing that was noticed. So I don't think that the board should take action on a change to the hours tonight.
That's fine.
That's acceptable. We'll,
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes before we come back and ask for that.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. Real-time internet sleuthing. All right, well, in that case, is there, I'd entertain a motion to approve the transfer of the license and setting aside any question about change of hours for the time being.
I'll make a motion that we approve the application of the Bolton Exchange, Inc., 544 Wattaquatic Hill Road for the transfer of the annual Section 12 pouring license for all alcoholic beverages, exclusive of the request for change of hours, which will be dealt with in a separate meeting.
Just, do you want the same stipulation that we had last time, Stan, with regard to the tip certification, which we put in the motion?
I believe that's a state requirement.
Okay.
That's a state requirement.
But let's
But
But I
just,
think we did, yeah, we added it to the vote
let's
last
just
time.
include it just for boot and suspenders.
Okay, that all these servers need to be tip certified.
Second,
All right, thanks. Roll call, Kate,
yes.
Stan,
Yes.
and I'm also a yes. Thank you, and yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you again on the hours.
Thanks
Sorry,
very much,
you're muted
guys.
if you were saying something.
I said, thank you. We're looking forward to opening and seeing all of you and hosting you all there.
Great. Have a good
Thanks.
night.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, next on our agenda is consideration of a sign request regarding open studios, and this is from Ann Gillespie. I see Ann Gillespie. There you are. Hi.
Yes. Hi.
How are you?
Yes, it's our 7th annual Bolton and Harvard Open Studios, and we're looking to put out, it's on October 5th and 6th this year, and we're looking to put out yard signs mid-month this month to help advertise the event. It's the same signs that we use every year, and we just update the dates.
Yep. Any
Good.
questions from the board?
Nope.
Okay, great. Me neither. Think it's a great event. Thank you for being involved and helping organize it. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the request from Ann Gillespie to place yard signs mid-September for an open studios event on October 5th and 6th.
Second,
Okay, roll call. Kate,
yes.
Stan,
Yes.
and I'm also a yes. Thank you
Great.
very much.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thanks. Good
Yeah.
luck.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys.
Okay, next up, I'll say I'm actually really excited about this one. Eagle Scout project presentation by Scout James Snyder. So if Mr. Schneider is available. Hi, you want to just take yourself off mute and we'll make sure we can hear everything you have to say?
Yeah, there we go. I'm off now.
Great. And then, sorry, Jenny, do you know if you need to enable screen sharing for any portion of this or?
I sent my slideshow to Jenny. And I was wondering if she could put that up.
See if I have it. I do. There are two emails.
Oh, is there
One at
one that says
6:20 PM and one at 6:27 PM.
use the 27 one, please? Thank you.
Okay, the floor's all yours.
Okay, so my name's James, and I am going for my Eagle badge this year. My project that I've chosen was to install a bicycle repair station for the town of Bolton to use for residents and anybody that would need to repair a bike. What is a bicycle repair station? It's quite really what it says. It's just a station on the side of a road of like a trail or just on like a major road or anywhere that is like a popular place for bicyclists where there's tools available and it's out of the way. It's in a safe spot for anybody to get down, and if they're not carrying the right tools with them, they can have access to everything they need so they can fix their bike, fix a flat, and be on their way again.
Great.
Next slide, please. So for the location that I have chosen or am looking to install my project would be at the head of Rattlesnake Hill, just on 117. I chose this place because I actually reached out to a bunch of cyclists around Bolton, wondering where they like to ride, what they do, and a lot of them said that 117 is a place that it's like a main road for biking, and on 117 is this kind of like a mountain trail for bikers that they like a lot, and so I figured it was kind of like a great spot to meet both categories, like road bikers and people that like to go off the road. But this is kind of the setting. If you look at the top right picture, there is the parking lot for the Rattlesnake Hill, and this is the trail leading down into the woods. Right off to the right is a little open clearing that could be made. There's plenty of space. For what I would like to install is kind of like a second kiosk. As to right on to the left, this picture at the top is something that I would like to basically copy and put on there so that it fits into the setting. I would mount a kind of like, if you go to the last slide, you can see what I'm looking to install. But if you picture that blue box with handles and tools tethered onto it, that would be put onto that kiosk, and then that kiosk would be put off to the side, out of the way of the parking lot, out of the way of traffic, and it would serve a spot for bikers to either before they start their trail or when they come back, or if they're riding by, to put their bike up and tune it up, fix some stuff up, and get right back on the road.
Got it. Sorry, can you go back to the very first slide again? So, so the design of those two is a little bit different. Did you have a sense of which one you might be leaning
So
toward?
those ones, yes, those ones are very industrial
Yep.
and wouldn't really match the setting. If I were to go put them at a different place, maybe they would. But for the spot that I had like pictured my project being a place, slapping down a concrete slab with like a bright orange metal something like pole sticking out of the ground just didn't seem like it was gonna fit right. And I mean, I wouldn't like to look at it. I'd like it to be appealing to the eyes of people, and I'd like them to enjoy it rather than have it like be hideous.
Yeah.
So building like a little, not even like that big, but just something made of wood with like a woodsy. It could be like I was looking for like live edge logs, just planks. So, but something that looks nice
Yep.
and fits in with the theme. Like on the second slide, you can see there's several different signs. There's that bottom left one, that one that like describes the trail. It fits right in with the one at the top left, or top left, which is like the kiosk. It's got all the trail details and everything that you need to know. And I think putting another one of those would just fit very nicely
Yep.
rather than making something that's very out of place.
Another question that I had was, by any chance, have you spoken with the nearby property owner about your plans? You know, I know obviously this isn't on their property, but it would be visible. Do you have any sense of how they feel about it?
I have talked to it's Mr. Romer's property that's right up against it, and he's he's helped me with it through a little bit actually, and I think he's very much okay with me installing my project right there. I don't know if you can actually see because the photos might be a little bit grainy, but on those two pictures on the right, there is a little bit of ribbon that I put down along with some
Yeah.
sticks, kind of just like kind of showing where this, like those were the two posts would be sticking out of the ground. So you can see in perspective as to like how it would sit up on the land.
Yep. Any other questions?
Nope, I'm good with it.
As am I.
Great. Yeah, I think it's a really great idea. Congrats for coming up with this. And I think it would be a great gift for the town.
Thank you.
I do have one question, which would
Oh,
just
sure.
be, how would it be maintained in the years to come?
Maintained. Yes, so it would be a gift to the town. So the town would then be in charge of repairing it. I wouldn't expect too much to need to be repaired. Maybe if a tool falls off or is destroyed, damaged, it may need to be replaced. But aside from that, that other kiosk is held up strong, and I would assume I'd build mine too.
Great, thank you.
Okay, any motions on this?
Make a motion that we accept the gift from Scout James Schneider of the proposal to install a trailhead kiosk with a bicycle repair station to be gifted to the town of Bolton.
Second,
Okay, roll call. Kate,
yes.
Stan,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. And again, great job to you, Mr. Schneider, on your presentation and for this really cool idea.
Thank you.
And James, I'll just add that I utilized one of these very service stations on the Air Bike Trail on Sunday, and I was very happy it was there.
Oh, great. I hope this one helps you out too.
All right, thanks, Jenny. I think we
Thank you very
can
much.
take the screen sharing down. Great. All right, we're running a little ahead of time, but next up on our agenda is an update and discussion on the boiler at Florence Sawyer School, and then considering the request for appropriation of ARPA funds. So I will turn this over to our town administrator.
All right, thank you. To give a very, very brief recap, there has been a series of issues with the boilers at the Florence Sawyer School. Way back in 2018, 2 original units were installed. In 2021, in order to keep up with the demand needs, another unit was installed. In the summer of 23, there were some failed heat exchangers of the originally installed units. Those were replaced. In this February of 24, the heat exchanger failed in that 3rd unit. Given that it was in February, the school had been in contact with the town officials throughout, including bringing in the DPW director as well as the town administrator. the school had scrambled and installed a mobile boiler unit to meet the heating demands as it was winter. They had then wanted to obtain a new system because they're sort of stopgapping, sort of bubble gumming it together in May of 24. Again, there's been correspondence and agreement, and also per the district agreement, we're responsible for the large capital needs of this building, which we lease. And the commission of the system will be happening in October. Tonight, the school is seeking the monies that we have to backfill their expenditure of the dual-fired boiler that they'd purchased. This had been purchased by the school with the understanding that the town, as the leasing entity, would be covering it. We tabled this during our last meeting, and Ross and Rob had come. But if you recall, we had, after closing out and reallocating some of our ARPA monies, we had $51,000, actually $51,108.56 remaining. The total cost for the dual-fired boiler, which we're all hoping to goodness nothing goes wrong with, is $132,571. The school is seeking, in effect, sort of buying a boiler on layaway that the town hold up to its earlier tacit assurances and provide funds for the boiler with the expectation that the balance for this capital item would be put forth in the spring town meeting.
Great, thanks for teeing that up. Any questions from members of the select board?
Well, I actually, yes. I mean, we had boilers that were installed in 2018 and 2021. So we're talking, what, 6 years ago and a couple of years ago, and they have failed. And now my understanding is that they have already been replaced.
Yeah. Yep.
My expectation is that that equipment should be lasting a lot longer than 6 or 8 years. And what's the issue with either the repair or any warranties that were associated with those units? Because we purchased that with at least part of it with grants, and now six years and less we're replacing everything.
I'd like to recognize Mr. Mulcairn or Mr. Frieswick to respond.
I'd be happy to, Mr. Boyle. And Mr. Wysocki, I couldn't agree with you more. Our expectation, is that the equipment that we purchase, would certainly last longer than that. So what we've done throughout the process is obviously involve the town of Bolton. We brought in representatives from the manufacturer, from the supplier, from the installer, a significant amount of meetings and back and forth. Our warranty claims were denied. So what we've done is we've taken on the cost of hiring a metal forensic scientist or metallurgist, if I'm saying that appropriately, to essentially look at the warranty claim denial, and so that we can respond appropriately. We've been in contact with our legal counsel throughout, and they've given us some advisement about how we could potentially respond to the warranty claim once we get back a final copy of that metal scientist's essentially forensic report as to what they see as issue with the warranty claim denial. So when we receive that back, we'll continue to be in touch with the town administrator regarding that, what potential next legal steps can be taken, so that the town of Bolton, if there's money to come back, the town of Bolton receives whatever potential refund or whatever could come in to make the town of Bolton more whole in this situation.
Sure. Well, I guess my understanding is that the new system is already installed. So what have you done with this new manufacturer and distributor to make the warranty a bit more ironclad than the last one?
So my understanding, there's not much we can do with regards to what a manufacturer's warranty is per se. We're being very careful with how, and I don't know how the last system was brought on board, and I'm not pointing any fault at it, at any onset of the system, but we're being very careful in documenting each step as we bring this one on board to make sure everything is in compliance, so that when we move forward, any questions, we're following what we need to do as the consumer, per se, to ensure that we're in line with whatever potential warranties could be coming forward. I will say that the previous manufacturer is not, that name is not necessarily unfamiliar to issues. So I don't think we're alone out in the municipal world on this one. However, we need to make sure that we're taking all of our potential legal steps to do what we can do in conjunction with the town of Bolton to make sure things are set right as much as we possibly can.
I had a couple of questions, which are, what were we expecting the lifespan to be of the previous boilers, and what do we expect the lifespan to be of this new one?
I can turn that over to Mr. Frieswick because he could speak to that more detail, because he's the one who's always in contact with manufacturers and installers.
Thanks, Mr. Mulcairn. Those boilers, the life expectancy of those boilers should be, 15 to 20 year range. There are parts of the boilers that do break down over time, but a solid 15 years you should get out of a commercial boiler like that. So like Mr. Mulcairn said, we're taking every step possible to make sure that we're documenting everything in the installation process. If, we do see issues down the road, we don't run into the same situation that we're in right now.
I just want to add on to what Mr. Frieswick said as far as maintenance, going back to Mr. Wysocki's previous question. On the previous ones, we had done all the preventative maintenance as scheduled and as required. So that was not the issue at all. But certainly something in these systems continue to fail despite replacement. And as I'm sure everyone here and on the board would agree, that raises some questions on our end.
Now, my understanding is that all three boilers failed in the same place or the same location?
Essentially, yep.
Correct. Correct.
Great, thank
So
you.
Marie, what is the ask, or what do we have for ARPA funds that are being considered to be applied to this?
The uncommitted that's under consideration is $51,108.56.
Do we have any other potential use for that money?
No, we'd gone through the past meeting and had, after review of the projects, done all of our reallocations. And this 51K was not committed.
For anything? So it's not committed for anything at the moment?
No.
So you're basically looking for another 80,000 or 81,000 that we'll have to do something with at annual town meeting.
Yes, that's my understanding.
Okay.
Should the board approve this?
And that, just to confirm, that's also your understanding, Mr. Mulcairn, right? It would be part of the capital request.
There was no specific sort of step by step from the previous town administrator, only that there was a good faith effort that this would be paid, initially by the district, and we would be reimbursed. We've done this with other capital projects as well, with Bolton and other towns where we do the purchasing and we do a reimbursement. We see this as no different. The issue was that it wouldn't be an immediate one time. It would potentially be two, and that's exactly what the new town administrator is continuing to do. So no expectation on our end exactly how that would happen, but the good faith agreement, I think still stands with the method being proposed. Absolutely.
Got it. Okay. Any final questions, or anybody would like to make a motion?
Well, actually, do we want to use the 51K of ARPA money? Or do we want to have an article for the whole amount in May? Because with ARPA money, we don't necessarily need a town meeting to deal with that. And if we have some emergency come up, we have $51,000 we can do something with. So I put that out. We're gonna need an article anyway. Do we want an article for all of it, or do we want an article for something less 51,000?
So, yeah, go ahead, Marie.
May I? The constraint on the ARPA funds is that it must be contracted by December 31, 2024. Right, so hence we've been re-reviewing the projects, and
Okay.
in effect, this would be, meet that goal.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep. Great. Thank you for clarifying that.
And can I just ask a background question? Because, I'm still kind of getting up and running here. Is it usual for the the school district to make these capital outlays and then tell the town about it later, and we have to figure out how to pay for it after it's happened? Because I guess it strikes me as I understand this is sort of an emergency situation, but this isn't what we're normally looking at, right?
No, I think it's highly unusual given the
Okay.
situation of, the continued failure, and then obviously, us being in a position where we need to make sure we absolutely had heat in the building. Within a few weeks, we could be into a heating season. So that's the position that we were in, and we communicated with the town administrator.
Okay.
Okay. Would anybody like to make a motion?
Well, correct me, Marie, if I got the number wrong, but I'll make a motion that we vote to appropriate from ARPA funds the sum of $51,108.56 to the purchase of replacement boilers at Florence Sawyer School, with the balance of that to be put on as an article at the annual town meeting in 2025.
Second.
A great roll call. Kate,
Yes.
Stan,
Yes.
I'm also a yes. And thank you to Mr. Mulcair and Mr. Frieswick for coming to this meeting. Sorry we postponed last time, but appreciate you taking the time to be here.
Not a problem. And again, thank you to the town of Bolton, the town administrators, and the select board for having us and for the communication and, ensuring we could move forward. So much appreciated.
All right, thanks. Have a good night.
Have a good night, gentlemen. Good night.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Take care.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have a discussion with our DPW Director, Randy Heglin, concerning the Wheeler easement for the Rotary.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Hi, good evening.
First of all, I want to say that the young man that you had on earlier, James Schneider, is an impressive young man for sure.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, back to our agenda item, as I mentioned, the Roundabout project, by the way, is advertised out for bid with bid opening in early October. To proceed with the project, we need one final easement from the Wheeler property, also known as Tadmore, to connect the sidewalks within the outer ring of the roundabout to the existing trail that exists on that Tadmore property. I'll turn it over to the town administrator, Marie. She can probably provide the board with an update on the easement language and documents. I know it's been going back and forth between the property owners and his attorney and the town's attorney as well. So, Marie.
Right. The reason that this hadn't been acted on at the last meeting, or the board had not been requested to act on it, was that there was still additional documentation that our attorney required, the subordination of the mortgage, as well as the title search and the title documentation. That has been provided, and this afternoon, 3:51, had received confirmation from our attorney, well, better late than never, had received confirmation that they're comfortable with the title info and the subordination that had been provided by the Tadmore's lawyer. For the purposes of the roadway project, per our council, the trail easement is acceptable. And so that's the first and only ask. There may be an additional ask in the future for the acceptance of the public way at the town meeting. But right now, with regards to the roundabout project, we're seeking the board's acceptance of the trail easement documentation. There will be hard copies and actual originals coming in.
Minor question, is there anything that we're gonna need to sign related to this?
There would be one signature of acceptance by the board. I believe it's just going to be one signature line. The board can either, designate the chair or the town administrator to accept the trail easement for the Rotary project.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Nope, you good?
Nope.
Well, let me ask a question to the both of you. Are you okay if, when we make this motion, that we also authorize Marie Sobolvaro to sign this document when it comes in?
Yep, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay. All right. Kate, why don't you make a motion? It's been a while.
I only like to make motions to adjourn. All right, I will make a motion to accept the Wheeler easement for the Rotary project and to designate Marie Sobolvaro to execute it on behalf of the select board.
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call. Kate,
Yes.
Stan,
Yes.
and I'm also a yes. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Hagelin.
No, thank
Thanks,
you.
Randy. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Okay, we're running a little bit ahead of schedule, which isn't a terrible thing. But next we're going to be reviewing amended sign design for United Cultivation at 476 Main Street. I think we have Mr. Spengler here to speak about that.
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, although you're a little faint. Could you get closer to the mic?
Okay, hold on. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my laptop off the dock. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, we lost your picture, but the sound's a lot better.
Okay, let me turn that back on. We're getting there. How's that?
That's good.
All right. Well, thank you. Nice to see everybody. I was just looking out the window. It's hard to believe it's pitch black out at 7:45.
Yeah.
So well, a little bit of a bummer. So yeah, thank you for the time. I had shared with Marie and Jenny, I believe maybe last week, when the signs went on the building, they differed partially from what I had presented prior. And what had happened was we had handed this off to a couple of members of our team to work with our marketing company and sign company. And what they ultimately put together was a little bit of a variation from what we had originally shared. So I'm not sure if everybody's had a chance to look at it. The signs are on the building now. Personally, I don't think it deviates drastically from the look and feel. I think it was done tactfully. Building looks pretty good if anyone's been by it, just as it relates to some of the plantings that have gone in, et cetera. But I wanted to make sure I reached out to the town to let them know that it was definitely different than what I had submitted back in the summer.
Understood. I do think it would be helpful, if it's not too much trouble, Jenny, to just show do you have the one that shows the before and after, or was that that wasn't that? Okay, great. Okay. You're all ready to go. So this was the design that was presented last time. And that was approved. And then if you can scroll down, Jenny. And then that's, I did have an opportunity to drive by this evening on my way home from work. It looks like that's the signage that's up there now.
Yeah.
I would like to invite the other members of the select board to ask any questions or share any comments they may have about this.
Well, it's pretty different than what we approved. And not necessarily better, in my opinion.
Can you scroll back up again real quick? Yeah, okay, great, thanks. You can go back down.
If you recall, I wasn't necessarily enamored with the graphics the last time.
Yeah.
I thought that it was excessive the first time, and this almost looks like a rabbit. I drove by it this afternoon, and I looked back at our notes from the last meeting to see what we had actually approved.
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, it's the same color scheme. I mean, the windows do have to be covered. So I really, or frosted, and, I think it's tasteful. I don't have an issue with it.
Yep.
Just to speak to the language, the wording is very, I think if it's not the exact same that was presented on the first one where it was orange, they changed it to black, but it is the same language on each pane, just shown differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already up, so I mean, I'm not going to ask that it be taken down. I mean, it is what it is. I don't necessarily care for it. The other thing is that when I drove by this afternoon, you had maybe 10 or a dozen little signs sort of in the front island, like painter signs or, vote for me signs. I believe there was some correspondence that went back between you and Jenny that is not allowed, or you need to get approval from the state, because that is easement owned by the state, not the town of Bolton, and we cannot grant that.
Yeah, so I've actually already put a call into District 3 on the Department of Transportation, trying to see what the process is to get those approved.
Okay.
They've been up for less than 34 hours. Like, we just opened yesterday morning, so we had those in inventory. I didn't buy those specifically for Bolton, but we're just trying to drive some traffic and get awareness that we're now open. I don't anticipate those being long-term signs. Over the past year or so, when we've been there, Dunkin' Donuts has put some signs out into that easement as well. I don't know if they're as noticeable, obviously, because there probably isn't as many. So we went ahead and put those up just from an awareness standpoint, but I am actively trying to understand the process to see about temporary approval from the district.
That's helpful explanation. I also had another question. I apologize if I'm just not remembering this part of the last request, but I also saw you had like now open banners sort of on the second floor, right? And they're kind of like Jenny, are you going to scroll up and show me that they were? Did we see those before?
Yes.
No, you hadn't seen those. That now open banner is just a fabric banner that we put yesterday over the Bright Clean sign, because we didn't have our top signs up. Our top signs went up today, and the sign company actually moved it down and just pinned it to the building. But I can remove that sign.
Oh, okay.
That's
So
the red now open sign. Yeah.
So the red now open signs are going to be coming down.
Yeah, that was just a temporary, like, trying to draw attention to the fact we're now open. It's hard. There's very limited channels that we can use to kind of get out to the public in on the traditional factor. So we're just trying to catch some eyes as we go by.
Yep.
But this that I'm displaying now was in the original request.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was on the building for about a month.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was you were saying the fabric banner was the thing I hadn't seen before that I noticed today, but it sounds like those are coming down.
Yeah, those are all just temporary, trying to get people to notice us. It's
Okay.
worked a little bit. Yesterday we had about 20 people walk in. I haven't looked at the numbers today, but we were trending. Just people showing up to the plaza and then walking in to check it out.
Any sense of, I know you're in touch with District 3, you said, any sense of how long you were planning to have those sort of yard signs up?
Yeah, I know they're not appealing to look at. I understand that they definitely don't match the time. We're just trying to, in a perfect world, if I could get approval to have them up from them for like 30 days, that's what it would probably be. For the purposes of this, if I can leave them up for a week or two, like just to try to get some traffic in there, like that's satisfactory. But we'll default to the building signage that's on the building. That's really, what it's going to be. I don't see us having those out there long term or asking for those to be a permanent fixture.
Well, you can't get approval from us, so it's not our jurisdiction, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to ask our town administrator to chime in if I misstate any of this, but the way I'm looking at this is, tonight we can decide whether or not to essentially approve the signs as they've been installed, even though the design deviated. And then with respect to the signs that are within the jurisdiction of DOT, I think you're probably getting the message we prefer that they not be up for any longer than they need to be, but we also don't have discretion at this time to do much about it.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, so would somebody like to make a motion?
I've moved that we approve the amended sign design for United Cultivation at Country Covered.
Second,
Okay, roll call. Kate,
yes.
Stan,
Yes.
and I'm also a yes. Do you want to wish you the best of luck, Mr. Spangler, with the opening?
Thank you. Yeah, it's been an interesting couple of weeks. Yeah, thank you. I would like to extend, an invitation to any of you, obviously anybody in the town, but particularly the board. It's been a great experience going a long, arduous process, as you guys all know. Many of you have been on the calls for a couple of years now, but I'd love to show you around. You can see kind of the regulatory framework and see how the business operates on the back end. So if any of you want to come as a group or come individually, just give me a heads up. I'm not always there, but I'd love the opportunity to show some of the town leadership the facility. So
thank you. I'll take you up on it.
I will be
Yeah,
more than
awesome.
happy to stop by.
All right, great. Have a good evening.
We're
Thank
just going to
you.
have to coordinate so that we're not all there at the same time, or else we're going to have to meet.
Yeah, you have to take notes. But yeah, I appreciate it. Have a great evening.
Take care.
Thank you.
Good luck.
All right. I know we are actually a little bit ahead of schedule, so we may not have our representative from the Bolton Community Fund here yet. So while we wait for that person to arrive, shall we skip ahead to the town administrator report?
Do we have to do a drum roll?
A slight and moderate drum roll. Before jumping into the goal setting on the agenda and the other items, just wanted to give folks a brief operational update. One of the things I wanted to commend was the work of the poll workers, the constable, as well as the school for helping with the amazing state primary. Out of 4,458 voters, there was a 17.6% turnout. The majority of the ballots, 523, for the vote by mail. It is very, very popular. And there are 263 ballots processed at the polls. Also, as an FYI to the board, the town clerk's office learned that Bolton is home to the Republican nominee for the Senate, John Deaton. So we welcome John to Bolton, and I think this adds a little frisson as we move into November. The clerk's office is immediately shifting for the November general election, and the early voting will be starting on Saturday, October 19th at the town hall. Stay tuned, watch the Clerk's Corner for more news on that one. Another sort of general update, as the board is aware and want to announce to the town, we finally made it through the community choice aggregation process, or at least the DPU hurdle of the community choice aggregation. The committee itself, the Bolton's Community Choice Aggregation, will be meeting on September 19th, and they'll be trying to determine the next steps. They're being cautious and they want to do it right. They've waited a long time. So stay tuned and there will be additional promo materials on that. And likewise, I would be seeking the select board's approval to appoint Andrea Early of Clinton, who will be appointed as our assistant treasurer collector. Out of the 14 applicants and multiple interviews, her experience, a decade plus in Clinton, along with her demeanor and glowing references, wowed all of us, and we look forward to welcoming her to the finance team.
Great. Thank
So
you
that-
for sharing those updates. I noticed that we, since we do now have a representative from Bolton Community Fund, we'll just swap back momentarily. Great, thanks. Hi, Liz.
Hi, everybody. I'm sorry I'm late. I was at another meeting and I didn't get Jenny's message until I left that meeting.
No, you're not late at all. We're running a little ahead of schedule, but thanks for
That's
being here.
great.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to lead or if you just want to ask some questions. I had sent a copy of the race route as well as an image of the lawn sign that we have that we're proposing to put up.
Yeah, maybe just for anybody that's not familiar, give a brief description of the event.
Sure. So we're the Bolton 5K sponsored by the Bolton Community Fund is an annual event that we hold at Shartner Farm. It is a 5K race which goes out from Shartner out to Wattaquatic Hill Road, back towards Shartner, then down out and back on I think it's Sawyer Road, a little cul-de-sac, and then back to Shartner Farm. And we also hold a kind of a community festival at the same time.
Great. So sorry, I'm just scrolling back up for a second. So the request for approval is to have the road race, to place lawn signs for the event, and specifically to place a couple of those lawn signs on the town common. Is that right?
Yes, well, the lawn signs for the signs for the town common, I believe, and I haven't actually seen them, but they're sort of banner style. It's two roughly 3-foot by 5-foot signs, banners that go in like an arrow shape that aims towards 117, so that each side will be visible from the different directions of people driving on 117. And they install it with stakes on the town common. And then the lawn signs are actually, 18 by 24-inch lawn signs that we usually, well, I think they randomly put them on places that we know are town land that could be visible.
Yep. I'm just trying to look. Do we have an example of that banner type sign that you're contemplating for the town common?
No one seems to have the dimensions of it, but it's the same. I mean, this is, I don't know if you could actually see that dimension, the picture, but it's basically there
Liz,
it
I
is.
just shared, I just
Thank
shared
you,
the one you
Jenny.
had sent.
Yeah, that's the large style sign, and basically the banner style ones are the same information but laid out in a longer 5-foot format.
Okay, and they would be staked on the town common temporarily.
Yes.
Okay. Questions from the board?
One question, has Chief Hamburger been involved in this and if you need to use roadways has approved? Since we don't have a
Yes,
copy of the route in front of us?
we did receive approval from Chief Hamburger.
Okay, great.
So we've got approval from the chief. We're waiting on an insurance certificate, is what I understand.
Yes, Lisa Sheppel was going to reach out to Murphy Insurance to have that sent over.
Got it. Okay. Anything from you, Kate?
Nope. I think it's a great event every year.
Okay. Liz, thanks for the overview. I agree.
Thanks.
It's a great event. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion that we hold to approve to hold a race for the Bolton Community Fund on October 12th, 2024, beginning at 9 a.m. To approve placing lawn signs for the event and to approve the 2 signs to be placed at the Common to advertise the event.
Second,
Okay, all in favor, Kate,
yes.
Dan?
Yes.
I'm also a yes. Thanks, Liz. Looking forward to it.
Excellent. Thank you. Don't forget to sign up.
Knock on wood for
Thanks,
good
Liz.
weather.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Good night now.
Night.
Good night.
Okay. Sorry, Marie, back to you.
That's all right. So that's it for my generalized updates, and returning to the agenda. Their next item is a goal setting discussion. I can share my screen of the draft goals that I had distributed to the board. I'd spoken with the chair, and there's also additional feedback. So let me toggle in my Zoom. I welcome input in this collaborative process.
Great. Well, let me just open it up by saying thank you for helping to get this process started. You did share this draft a couple days ago, so folks have had an opportunity to look at it, think about it. I guess what I would be interested in hearing from the board whether they agree with this, but I think tonight we should just have a discussion. If we feel like we've reached closure, we can cross that bridge when we come to it. But if we want to continue the discussion in a future meeting, we can do that as well. But I would just love to get folks' reaction to these goals and any other ideas they have. And then I can also share an idea that I had that I wanted to get people to consider.
I mean, I think these are good. I mean, I just saw this a day or two ago. I think that I might want to add something to this, but it's a bit premature to do that at the moment. So I think we should continue this to another meeting and have a agenda item that actually discusses these goals.
Being as I'm new to this process, I'm sort of taking the lead from Brian and Stan in terms of what goal setting has looked like in the past. So I guess I see this largely as a learning year right now, and I think working on the some of these stated goals are very good for familiarizing yourself with the town and understanding what the real needs are going to be in the years to come. So, but I agree that it should be an ongoing discussion.
Let me ask a question of Stan, just as we design the agenda for a future meeting. So right now we have goal setting discussion wedged within town administrator report. And I just want to find out from you whether you think for our next meeting, we have to frame it in a different way to open it up more, because you said you didn't think it would be appropriate for you to share more thoughts tonight. And I just want to understand why not.
Well, I mean, I just saw this a couple of days ago. And I think I've had some discussion with Marie actually even yesterday and today about potentially adding something new, and I don't think I have enough information to do that. But I think while these are good, number one, sort of a given. So I mean that's sort of a baked in goal regardless of whatever. Um, so I don't think we should, you know, close this meeting and say these are the goals.
Yep.
I think I'd like to look at this a bit more and actually have an agenda item to actually discuss this as opposed to, you know, something in the town administrator report. I think it needs a bit more discussion.
Got it. Well, I would just like to flag that for the next round of discussion, I had already said to Marie, I would like us to consider a goal related to sort of incorporating the master plan more regularly into our sort of agendas, even if it's just a simple check-in, like, okay, anything where some of the recommendations in the master plan might have bearing on a decision point, I want us to be referencing that document rather than letting it sit on the shelf. And in the same way, I think we should also talk about the leadership role that Marie might take in helping other boards and committees and department heads also have an orientation toward revisiting the master plan goals and implementation matrix when they're setting their departmental goals and things like that. So we can maybe talk more about that next time as well.
I think that's great. I mean, a lot of the master plan requires a great deal of money. So I think we need to take that whole plan with a grain of salt and look at what we can implement realistically, at least in the short term.
Cool.
Okay, so I guess one thing I wanted to float out for the board to consider is we should put this on a future agenda, but if there are specific ideas or suggestions you have for Marie, I would encourage you, and it sounds like Stan, you've already done that. I'd encourage you to reach out directly to Marie just to give her a heads up as well. And then, yeah, we'll, Jenny, we'll just put it, maybe we can put it under select board business. I don't know. But we'll put it on next agenda.
Right.
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
No, just wish to highlight that obviously the town administrator is tasked with shepherding the budget process, but this year what's different, if you notice, is I inserted the word tricky. It looks like fiscal 26 is going to be a tricky year, finance wise. So little more
as was last year and the year before and the year before that. So yeah, no, I can certainly appreciate that, Marie.
tricky. Yeah.
It might be extra tricky.
I didn't want to presume. So with regards to the update on the memorial bench gift, Jenny had detail-oriented flagged the application from the Boy Scouts and became concerned with regards to some of their standard language that they use in their Boy Scout boilerplate, such as being a sponsor, and correctly highlighted that the town does not sponsor projects per se. Subsequently to that, we'd also had a meeting with the Boy Scout representatives and gained a greater understanding of what they mean by their terminology and some of the hurdles that they've had. But the update for the board, at least in terms of the bench gift, this had already been accepted by the board. We understand when they say sponsor, it means something different than what one could commonly think. Everyone has their own jargon. And in effect, no further action is needed for that. So wanted to highlight two things. One is that Jenny reads everything and is looking out for the best interests of the town, and that we are now much clearer in terms of our responsibilities as a municipality.
Great. Thank you both.
Yeah, for the policy review initiative on this one, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Kate.
So I was a little slowed down by vacations and holiday weekends and that sort of thing, but I have made some more progress on starting to flesh out the table of contents and the the committee handbook that we're working on. Marie and I chatted a little bit yesterday about some next steps. She's pulled together some tables of contents from other municipalities to show what they include, both for their select board and for other committees. So I think within the next couple of weeks, we'll have something that we can start sharing to see if the board thinks we're on the right track, or wants to add different things, or wants to take things off the table entirely.
Great. Thank you both.
And the final item under the town administrator report is that I'm requesting the approval of the COVID-19 or flu and infectious diseases. This was shared at the last meeting. In effect, we're following what the CDC says. I've been acting under this policy as there have been incidents of COVID, and tacitly presuming this is the policy. Now I seek your formal acceptance.
I think that makes a ton of sense. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion, we approve the revision to the COVID-19 policy for the town of Bolton.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, roll call. Kate?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
And I'm also a yes. And thank you for bringing this to our attention. I guess I would just add, like, I know we're doing a more comprehensive policy review, but continue, if there's something that's sort of time sensitive that we should deal with sooner rather than later, please continue to flag that so we can get it on an agenda.
I'll do.
Thank you. Okay, so now we are on to select board business. And first up, any public service announcements? Sorry, I'm
nope.
Oh, good thing you don't have any, because I actually have a few. I'm going to be monologuing for a second. So I wanted to let everyone in town know about several vacant positions on boards that we're seeking to fill. So there's 4 positions I'm going to just flag. The first 2 vacancies are on elected boards. So appointees will fill that seat until the May 2025 election, at which point the seat will be filled through an election. So first, we're seeking 1 member for the Neshoba Regional School Committee. If you're interested in serving on the committee, please submit a statement of interest to Jenny. It's at ea@townofbolton.com by 1 p.m. on September 23rd. The regional agreement has this process where the person needs to be appointed by agreement of the select board and the Bolton representatives to the school committee. And so we are planning to meet for the purpose of doing that with our Bolton school committee representatives on our September 26th meeting. But again, if you're interested in being considered, please submit your statement to Jenny by 1 p.m. on September 23rd. We're also seeking 1 member for the Parks and Recreation Commission. And if you're interested in serving on that, please submit a statement of interest as soon as possible. And then the next 2 vacancies are for those appointed boards. We're seeking 1 member for the advisory committee. I think folks are probably familiar that advisory is primarily responsible for making recommendations to town meeting about, the finances, the annual budget, capital spending, and all warrant articles. So I know at least 2 of the current members of the select board can attest to the fact that it's actually great experience for people that are interested in learning about the town's finances and operations. So would very much encourage you to apply. And then the other one that we're looking for is a member for the Minuteman School Committee. We've already received some applications for this position, and we're going to consider the applicants at the upcoming meeting on September 26th. But just wanted to remind folks that that was also a vacancy. And for those, if you want more information, they're on the town website under the board openings section. So you can find the form for whichever position is interest to you. Okay, and then the other last thing that I wanted to mention, sort of related both to the community fund road race coming up and the fact that at our last meeting, we've approved actually several bicycle routes through town. I just want to remember for the safety of all bike riders that drivers should be aware to share the road with bikers. We've got the Bikes Not Bomb rides coming up this weekend, and I think a ride every weekend through like the end of September into October. So please stay aware of your surroundings. Do not look at your cell phone. Keep your eyes on the road and watch out for bikers. Now I'll get off my soapbox. Okay, next up, future items, future agenda items discussion. I know we've already flagged following up on the goal setting discussion. Other items.
I think at some point we should look at review of the fees that we charge or the fines that we charge for a variety of items to see whether or not they are competitive with other towns and whether or not they are sufficient enough to encourage our citizens not to do what the fines are meant for them to be discouraged to do. I think some of the fines are a little low.
Any rough sense of how, like, when you'd like to see that on an agenda? Is it like a October, November thing?
Well, I think we should probably get Jen Marquis. I mean, she's also responsible for that, so I think we should get her input as to, you know, when of her availability and for her to do a little bit of homework and you know, so, I mean, it's not super critical, but you know, within the next few meetings would be good to have an initial discussion about that.
Okay, so can somebody just follow up with me about that when we have a sense of what is realistic timing? Great. Kate?
Nope, I'm good.
I'm also all set at this time. Okay, now we are gonna execute the 6th amendment to the intermunicipal agreement, but Marie, could you just remind us exactly of what this is all about?
Certainly, this is an agreement as Bolton is a participant in the Regional Household Hazardous Waste Products Collection Program, which currently has multiple towns, you know, I want to say 7. At this point, they will be accepting an additional community. It requires all of the original communities to re-sign this amendment with the extension of the additional community. So Ashburnham is the new community.
So the substance of the agreement is not changing at all. It's just literally.
Does not, nothing changes. No.
Okay, great, thank you. And I'm looking at the signature page. Is this something where we can authorize you to sign, or should I sign?
You could authorize me to sign if you wish. You're welcome to come in to sign too, but
Okay.
Well,
Why don't, go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we execute the 6th amendment to the intermunicipal agreement and authorize our town administrator to execute on our behalf.
Second,
Great, roll call. Kate?
yes.
Stan?
Yes.
And I'm also a yes.
And I'll
Thank-
just mention, the warrant is on the counter to be signed, so hopefully all 3 of you will be coming in to sign anyway, but if those documents are signed, I could have Marie sign them on Monday.
Okay, and so the warrant is ready, Jenny. We could sign over the weekend.
Yes.
Great. Okay, procurement practice discussion.
we'd included this to follow up on the interest of the board who'd wanted to discuss further procurement practices. I believe the recommendation at the last meeting was that all items that were procured went through or across my desk. Happy to do that. My great ask to the town departments is that they must submit all contracts to the town accountant, but just wanted to touch base, get a little more clarity. The state's procurement practice is the
Yeah,
procurement.
actually, this was my request. Obviously, over a certain dollar amount, you have sole authority to sign. But there have been a number of contracts that have been executed that have committed the town to either a financial or potential liability where we have no knowledge of what that contract is. And I think it's a good practice to have our chief procurement officer be at least aware, whether it's a cosign or aware or whatever, how we want to do it. But there should be no contract being executed by some department head, elected department head, of which the town administrator is not aware of. Because I think one, there are issues potentially of liability. There are financial considerations, whether or not that item was ever approved during a budget discussion. So I think it provides some safeguard. And to Marie's final comment, I think we've had some instances where contracts have been executed, and our town accountant doesn't have a copy of it, but they're being asked to disperse funds against that contract. And I think we should include also that anything being executed needs to have a copy to our town accountant. Otherwise, it doesn't get paid. So I just think it's provides for good oversight. And I don't think that the contracts that our department heads are executing are many. I mean, there may be some standard things in terms of buying, supplies and those kinds of things, which I think are dealt with in another manner. So I just want to have some better oversight of this whole process.
Kate?
Yeah, so I guess, I mean, is this for, sorry, my dogs are really rambunctious.
Procurement, just, yeah.
But is this something is there a dollar limit for the contract that we're asking, or is it for, I mean, if you're going, I don't know what kind of contracts we're talking about that department heads are executing, so.
Typically, it's either for a product or a service, and many times it's a service. An example would be, some committee hires someone to do some consulting work, and they're paying them a fee, an outside consultant to do a fee. And we should know what that is, and whether or not that was budgeted against their request during budget season. If there are any ramifications in terms of liability, if there are some contractual requirements of whether the town or that department head or that committee or board doesn't live up to expectations, there may be some consequences. So I think it's a good practice just for the town administrator to understand what is being executed between the town of Bolton and some outside entity.
Okay, and the idea would be that Marie would come to us with any concerns that she had about things she was seeing that were of some concern.
Well, I would say that she would need to be a signatory on that contract. And if there are any concerns that one, she doesn't sign it and bring it to the board for discussion. If it's nothing that we have authorized her to sign directly.
So I am hearing like very valid and I think well-placed concerns about oversight, but I'm also mindful of just like what will be workable potentially in practice. And so what I would suggest, since this is just a discussion, is that maybe Marie, you can give some thought or like think about actual examples of how this comes up. Because I'm just thinking about like in my own work, right? Like there are some contracts that are like, this is clearly a contract and they're asking for a signer, but sometimes you're like subscribing to something online and that's a contract too. And it doesn't always automatically allow for like a new signer. So it could get a little cumbersome. So I'd just like to hear from you more about like what you actually think would be a workable practice. I think anything that's like a document that comes as a PDF, easy enough for you to be the signer. But if there are things where, it may not be quite that straightforward. You could just flag that for us, but the general point I think is you should at least know about all of this stuff.
I'm liking the idea that I should know about all of this and that the accountant would also have backup. Wanted to say though, subsequent to the last meeting, the DPW director brought me multiple things with regards to beaver control, fertilizer, all small dollar type things. And the director is very adept at, placement of bids and following procurement practices. So if there could be potentially, an exemption, or I could make the determination that, based on past track record, that I would not be responsible for signing low dollar amounts for the DPW. That would be great.
No, I agree, Marie. I mean, I wouldn't consider anything the DPW director is doing. I mean, he knows how to follow. But if there's some
Yep.
committee,
Everything else, yeah, I will take it.
historical commission, park and rec, they executed a contract with a third party for doing the East End Historical District. Park and Rec executed a contract with the Boy Scouts for the summer programs. Those are the kind of things where we have essentially volunteers and well-meaning volunteers, as opposed to Randy, who is a professional. I don't want you to be encumbered with dealing with what Randy needs to do. He knows what to do. We have other folks that I think we need to have some visibility on what's going on and what these people who are potentially committing the town to, well-intentioned, but not necessarily well-versed in either a financial or a legal perspective. That's where I would like us to concentrate on.
And Stan, that makes a lot of sense to me. That's, I think, is the distinction that I was looking for. It didn't make sense to me that the police chief needs to come to us to ask.
Oh God, no.
He has to.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No,
So
police
I
chief,
understand.
DPW chief, no,
Yeah.
not at all.
No, I understand much
It's
better.
those other things, well-intentioned, but outside the realm of normal business that we need to make sure we're covered.
That nuance is great, because likewise, the Chief Hamburger did come by too. And that's like, I understand what this is.
Yeah, no. This is
So, Marie, would you be able to just maybe draft up a few sentences that set the parameters and we can consider those and there'll be a policy?
I'll put it in a handbook.
Yeah.
There you go.
Got it. I'll do.
Great. Okay, so just two more things. We got to approve bills, payroll warrants, and then also I believe we have the August 22nd regular session minutes. So is there a motion on the bills and payroll warrants?
I move that we approve the bills and the payroll warrants W25-4 and W25-4A.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, Kate?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
I'm also a yes. Jenny, I don't know if you got any edits to the 22nd, but if you, can you just share your screen? Got it. Okay, sorry, one very minor thing, Jenny, scroll up. Keep going. Keep going. Top of that page. If you're gonna replace it to the word occurring, just it's two C's. Good. I'm all set.
Everybody happy?
Yep.
Make a motion, we approve the August 22nd, 2024 regular session minutes.
Second,
All in favor, Kate,
yes.
Stan?
Yes.
I'm also a yes. And I do just want to say, again, thank you, Jenny, for preparing great and timely minutes. I know it's not an easy job.
No problem.
Unless you're using an AI tool to do it, in which case, thank
If
you.
only.
Thank you to Chat GPT.
I
Um,
think
Okay.
Chat GPT would have spelled occurring correctly.
well, unless there's anything else, I think, Kate, your moment has arrived.
My moment has arrived. I will make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second that.
Great. All in favor, roll call, Kate,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I'm a yes as well. Thanks again to Marie and Jenny, as always. Good to see you.
Thank you. And
Good
the
night,
time for the
everyone.
record is 8:31.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Good weekend.